So hello guys, what's up and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's me, your girl barrister Neze, and this is Nezeville. In our previous video, we began analyzing the wonderful, amazing South African series The Polygamist. We had extensively covered two lead characters, Joyce and Essie. In today's video, we will be proceeding and we will be opening with the one and only Matiba. Delilah. Now, it's important that you stay with me in this video and listen to everything that I have to say, because remember, this is not just analyzing a movie. We are drawing very important life lessons. So there will be so much for you to take home. Okay? So, Matiba Nkosi is played by the gorgeous Kwanele Mtetwa. I hope I pronounced it properly. My South African brothers and sisters, the TH in your names are too many for my tongue to bear. Honestly, Kwanele did a great job, because that Matiba role could easily have been played or acted out as that wicked side chick. But she didn't just come as the wicked side chick. She gave the character confidence, softness, pain, and even moments that made us understand her without necessarily agreeing with her. But at some point in the movie, we don't know whether to call it pity, but we had this kind of feeling for her that was not anger anymore. Matiba entered the story as a young, educated, and ambitious employee at J&J Holdings. That's Joyce and Jonas's company, right? She was originally dating Jonas's brother, Magesh. But after meeting Jonasi, the richer, more powerful, and can we say more handsome brother, her attention shifted quickly. She seduced Jonasi. Oh boy, that's good old drop an item on the floor seduction. It has been working for centuries, yet you men don't want to learn. Just drop a thing and you see the woman will squat. That is what house help used to collect their madam's husbands for millenniums. Yet men are still falling for it. So Matiba did the drop an item on the floor seduction. Oh my god, that scene was fire. Of course he fell, and she then became his mistress and moved from being a junior employee to holding an executive position in the company. Do not get it twisted. Matiba did not just fall into this situation by accident. My sister saw the mansion. She saw the money, the position, the affluence, and the powerful man, and she understood the assignment. Just like many women like her, she was on a mission. Matiba was bold, confident, very stylish. Oh, I always looked forward to seeing what dress she was adorned in. Very stylish and of course very strategic. She knew how to read a situation and present herself as exactly what that man wanted. But I think she didn't quite play the side chick manual well. In fact, at a point in the movie, I almost paused and wanted to direct her to go and take lessons from Judy Austin. She wasn't mentored well. Because one major strength of a scheming, slimy side chick, one major strength that they should possess is the ability to be agreeable, the ability to have an overflowing reserve of patience. The side chick role is not for people like me, or it's not for people like you that have opinions, want to be treated with dignity. It is for women who are willing to take anything in silence and be agreeable just for the aim. They have their eyes on the prize and they don't mind scheming their way through it. And the man will be thinking, wow, this woman is so understanding, so patient. She's not like my wife, without knowing that the woman is acting. But Matiba, on the other hand, got impatient, competitive, and deeply hungry for more. When you start watching the movie, it appeared as though she was controlling the relationship. But later, we'll find out that much of her leverage, much of her power depended on Jonasi continuing to choose her over Joyce. Jonasi was the one in control, contrary to what she felt, not her. Now, this is where her weakness entered. When Matiba upgraded from side chick to wife, she did not only want his money anymore, she wanted his love and his loyalty. And even worse, she wanted full attention, presence, and participation. Remember when Jonasi would come to the house, she would hand him over baby. Someone that stopped nursing baby for over 20-something years. She wanted these things that every wife wants, but distance were too costly for a man like Jonasi. All he could offer, all he could afford were things that money could buy. And that is why he kept on coming with more and more flowers and more gifts. But she stopped being impressed with those things. She wanted him. Remember that she had moved from side chick to wife and wasn't carried away with what will typically excite a side chick anymore. She now wanted wifely privileges. She now wanted what a wife should get. But she didn't understand that the husband she chose already had a wife and couldn't give her that. Once she became emotionally invested, she came from having an agenda to falling off the radar and now getting emotionally invested. Once that investment came, the woman who had initially entered with a game plan slowly started losing control of the game. Her emotions began getting the best of her. So Matiba wanted a better life, a successful career, money, influence, a powerful man beside her, all the good stuff. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with wanting all of these things. The problem was the road that she chose to take to get them. She betrayed Magesh, the man who gave her the opportunity to get into the company in the first place. She paid him back by potting to his brother. And then she brazenly entered another woman's marriage and didn't mind wrecking the woman or destabilizing the woman's children to take the woman's position. And just as I always tell you on this channel, no woman despises polygamy as much as a woman who schemes her way into another woman's home, disguising or christening herself as second wife. No woman hates polygamy as much as those kinds of women. Have you ever seen where a first wife, out of annoyance, will leave the marriage and that so-called second wife will say, no, this is unfair. Go and bring her back. If she doesn't come back, I'm not staying here. Bring her back. No, it is polygamy I want. We have to be more than one. No. Have you seen such before? Instead, when the woman pretends, I'm like, oh my God, darling, what do you say happens to Nkechi? When the man goes out, when she enters the bathroom, she'll be like, yes. Mission accomplished. So their goal is never polygamy per se or to share. No woman wants to share. If most men understood how deep, I don't use the word dark, a woman's heart is, they will understand that that arrangement is just BS. So no woman really wants to share what she loves or her love's interest. Her goal is to displace and overtake. And that was exactly who Matiba was. What does Matiba represent? Matiba represents something deeper. She represents that mistake that many of we women have by believing that being close to a powerful man automatically makes us powerful. Matiba had access to Jonasi's money, his company, his lifestyle, but the power and the might still belonged to Jonasi. The moment he became angry or lost interest, he could remove her access from all of those things. And that is exactly what eventually happened. So that position of being the other woman is always a very fickle, very delicate position, very quick to be discarded. So in the beginning, Jonasi and Matiba's relationship looked very exciting, very passionate. Boy, oh boy, look at all those bathroom scenes. Please do not watch that thing near a child though. That movie is X-rated. Look at all those scenes. It was so passionate. She presented herself as younger, excited, available, and less demanding than Joyce, the man's wife. And in return, he gave her attention, money, a home. He bought her a house, right? Not in her name, of course. Gave her career opportunities. He even left his wife, Joyce, and moved in with Matiba for about a year. But much of what Matiba interpreted as love, oh, this man is so in love with me, was just Jonasi, like most men like him, enjoying the thrill and the thrill of a new conquest. That was what she was, a conquest. She was his new thrill, the woman who offered him excitement and an escape from his family responsibilities. Matiba thought that becoming a wife meant that she had won, but she actually enjoyed more attention and freedom when she was a mistress. Because marriage brings responsibilities and expectations. So once Matiba became his wife and gave birth, life changed, everything changed. That attention reduced, the romance faded, neglect became very clear. Jonasi began treating her the same way he had treated his first wife, Joyce. So working from that air of having replaced the man's wife, she slowly realized that she didn't replace her, she just simply inherited his wife's problems. Marriage and motherhood did not secure her position. Instead, she became more dependent, more isolated, and less important to him. And that was Matiba's greatest shock. Just like most women like her, she believed that she was special enough to change Jonasi. She thought that he cheated on Joyce, his wife, because Joyce was the problem. You know, these women delude themselves and say, oh, it was a problem. He wouldn't do that to me. But the person who repeatedly lies, who betrays, who is not loyal, who cheats and abuses people, does not suddenly become trustworthy because a new woman or a younger woman or a more exciting woman comes. It is only a matter of time. And that time came. Her relationship with Jonasi became emotionally exploitative, financially controlling, and eventually climaxed to physical abuse. Beats her shaggy, beats her blue-black. And you know, when elderly women say the broom that was used to beat the first wife, we don't understand. That adage has gone ahead for centuries. They see the pattern. It's clear pattern that they see. That's bore that proverb that, don't worry, the broom that was used or the cane that was used to beat the first wife is waiting for the second wife. This is what it means. And I want to do a very big shout out to Matiba's mom for being a responsible and honest mother, for standing against what her daughter was doing. If more mothers were like Matiba's mother, less home breakers will operate unabated. Because despite the mom was seeing the comfort and the money that her daughter's conduct was bringing, she still didn't support what her daughter was doing. She still called her daughter's BS, and eventually even had to move out of the house because she couldn't bear to see what her daughter was doing to another woman's home. At the end of the day, by the time Jonasi beat her shege, Matiba had to pick risks, leaving the twins that she had bore for somebody's husband with the wife, abandoned her children with the man's wife, and ran away. That decision was very painful, but it also showed just how completely broken and trapped Matiba felt. So Matiba represents a large number of people, many of whom are even watching me. She represents women who believe that a cheating man will become faithful once he meets the right woman. They judge the wife, they castigate the wife, and assume that she failed somehow in her responsibilities to make the man happy, and convince themselves that their own relationship will be different. But she soon discovered that how Jonasi treated Joyce was not evidence that Joyce was inadequate. It was simply an evidence of Jonasi's character. Matiba's character is so relatable because she represents a wide range of women whose stock in trade is scheming into the homes of other women to reap where they did not sow, while expecting a happy ending. The biggest lessons that I took from her character is the need for us to always watch how a person treats the people that came before you. Do not believe every story or their story claiming that their wife was bad, their ex-partner was wicked, they are this thing, this. That's ex-partner. The experience of those people that came before you might just be a preview to your own future. Matiba also teaches us not to confuse gifts and trips and sex and intense attention with love. Jonasi spent money on her, but spending money was far more easier for him than offering honesty, than giving respect, than providing emotional safety. Money might look good to you because you don't have it, because you are poor. But sometimes money is the easiest thing that a person can give you, especially when that person has a lot of it. So you might be thinking, hey, look at what this person gave me. You don't know that the person is giving the list of what they have. That doesn't mean that they love you. That doesn't mean that they give a shit about you. That just means that that is what they can easily let go because they have a surplus of it. And finally, Matiba teaches us that ambition is good. It is not bad to be ambitious, but ambition without integrity can lead us somewhere that your peace will not survive. Matiba entered the story believing that she had outsmarted Joyce and captured the prize. But at the end of the day, she discovered that Jonasi was not a prize to be won, but he was rather a pattern to be escaped, to be avoided. Matiba's character was indeed powerful and relatable. Let us share our thoughts on Matiba down in the comment section. Now, let us talk about the one and only Mensy. Mensy Gomorrah, the son who slowly became what he hated. Oh my God. Very powerful. Listen to Mensy's story. Now, Jonasi's eldest son was Mensy Gomorrah, played by South African actor Wonder in love. Mensy started as a soft-hearted, kind and family-oriented young man. It was so difficult not to fall in love with Mensy. I did. He is not loud like his father Jonasi, and he doesn't seem interested in controlling anyone or everyone around him. He loved openly, looked after his siblings, and he was especially protective of his mother. Even the way he cared for Matiba's twins tells us that he has a natural good spirit. He didn't blame those innocent children for the mistakes of their parents. So his softness is one of the most beautiful things about him. But unfortunately, that softness is something that Jonasi, his father, made him feel ashamed of. Now, Mensy lives in a world where kindness, especially from men, is treated like a deficiency, is treated like a weakness, and where being a real man means being dominant, emotionally unavailable, and exercise control, unhealthy control. Mensy and Jonasi's relationship was very painful because Mensy clearly wanted a father that he can respect, that he can look up to. But Jonasi kept on disappointing him. At first, Mensy still saw him as his father, probably still wanted to believe that the family could be repaired. But every new revolution destroyed that respect a little more. Now, the cheating from his father was bad enough, but Jonasi also became violent and humiliated his mother in front of the children. At some point, Mensy even had to physically challenge his father. He didn't want to. If you looked at his face, he didn't want to, but he had to. By the time the twins are born, that's the twins that Jonasi had with Matiba, right? Both Mensy and his sister Mpume had had enough of their father. Mensy's anger is not only about Jonasi betraying his mother, it was also about Jonasi destroying his idea of what a father and a husband should be. And this is what made their relationship tragic. Mensy spent so much time fighting not to become Jonasi that Jonasi still ended up shaping the man that he becomes. Let me give you this gist. Mensy liked this girl called Lindani. I think she was a waitress in a bar, and she was also his sister's friend. And you know, the kind of love he had for Lindani was this young, pure, innocent feelings, the kind of attraction completely different from Jonasi's approach to women, which is more of, you know, the sex object kind of attraction. But Jonasi, in his usual narcissistic behavior, cannot allow anything to exist without making it about himself. One day he came home with his wife to see this Lindani girl dancing very seductively in a house party that they had organized, and Jonasi cornered the young girl, excited her with luxury, flew her out to another country and began a wild sexual relationship with her, even got her pregnant, although she suffered a miscarriage. And he knew, it's not like he didn't know, his son had opened up to him that, I like this girl, but he didn't care. He doesn't care about anybody apart from himself. One of Mensy's most painful scenes was when he walked in on Jonasi being intimate with Lindani. Oh my God, I really pitied him. He was so overwhelmed with, as in, he almost suffered a panic attack. It was really heartbreaking. And that moment was bigger than simply catching his crush with another man. That other man was his own father, the same father who had already betrayed his mother repeatedly, who had embarrassed the family repeatedly, who had damaged almost every relationship around him. So Jonasi didn't just take the girl that Mensy loved, he invaded one of the few parts of Mensy's life, that innocence that still felt pure. Now this is the funny part. This is the unfortunate part. Let me not even call it funny. Instead of processing what Jonasi had done to him, Mensy began changing himself. He learned that being vulnerable could get him hurt. So he started burying the softer parts of himself and started using his father's techniques of emotional distance, indifference, and control, because those methods appeared to protect powerful men from being hurt. Mensy didn't just wake up one morning and decide to be like his father. What happened in Mensy's life was the dangerous power of influence coming into play. For me, Mensy represents the children who suffer because of their parents' bad decisions. Jonasi was busy chasing women and protecting his ego, while Joyce was busy going colo mental, fighting for her marriage and her public image. But in the middle of these battles were children who did not create any of the mess, but still had to live with the consequences. Even his sister Umpume, she was completely heartbroken and furious. She had always been a daddy's girl. So discovering her father was sleeping with her best friend and had another hidden daughter from the family and was constantly hurting her mother, destroyed the image she had of him. She still loved him, or she still tried to cling on to that reality of, oh, my father, my love. But she also hated what his lies and his selfish choices had done to their family. She also hated that her mom wouldn't just leave the marriage. So she was also deeply affected. She was broken. So back to Mensy. Mensy also represents what we now call generational trauma. How a child can hate a parent's behavior but still end up copying it. Mensy began as one of the most morally grounded people in the family, but his father's behavior hardened him, and by the end, rather than fully breaking the cycle, he began repeating it. So Mensy represents many sons raised under powerful but emotionally destructive fathers. You know, in Africa, we believe that the best thing a father can be is a provider. But a father can be a providing threat, a providing demon. A father can be a provider who is a bad example for his sons. So Mensy represents those category of sons who were raised by powerful fathers. On the outside, people are like, oh, we are so lucky to have a father like this. But those fathers are emotionally destructive. Some of these boys grow up promising themselves that I will never be like my father. But most of them still copy their fathers. His anger, his emotional silence, his treatment of women, how he treats women, or his ideas around marriage or about masculinity, because that was the main example that they received. Boys copy their fathers. Mensy also represents children who become unofficial protectors in troubled homes. We've seen these now, where sons at the age of 15, 16 will have to start squaring up to their fathers and throwing punches to defend their mothers. At that point, it looks like defense, but at the end of the day, you will see that it was destruction, because that boy, you know, that scene, those shoes he had to step into were not shoes made for him. So there was Mensy, pushed into protecting his mother, fighting his father, punching his father, pushed into watching over his sister, and emotionally carrying the consequences of his father's behavior. He represents how many good boys become difficult men and bad husbands. Not because they were born cruel, but because nobody taught them how to remain kind without allowing others to destroy them. So many of the wicked men, wicked husbands that we have today were not born that way. Experience shaped them. They got wrong mentorship. They looked up to destructive male figures. Mensy's story also presents the illusion of a two-parent home. From the outside, both parents are present, so the family appears complete. But emotionally, the children may still be growing in a broken home. Don't you know there's some children that are growing with both father and mother, but are growing in broken homes? That even a single parent's home is even better than that thing that they call father and mother is not broken. There are children that are growing in broken two-parent homes, surrounded by fear, surrounded by conflict, everyday fights, instability, silence. So contrary to how society portrays it, sometimes having two parents under one roof does not mean a child is receiving the safety, the love, and the emotional security that a healthy home should provide. It's just that we're so consumed with ideas, we forget to analyze the substance. So yes, Mensy's ability to love was his strength, but because the people around him treated that softness like a weakness, he began to harden himself. The lessons that we can learn from Mensy is that 1, children always get touched by problems between their parents. You know, sometimes we adults might think that we're doing a good job hiding everything that is happening. Hiding our affairs, our violence, our manipulation. Your husband will give you slap, bossa. You come out smiling. Hi, sweetheart. Do you want some biscuits? You think the children don't know? You think they're not hearing? You think they're not seeing? Children see, and not only do they see, they absorb much more than anyone realizes. They know when their parents are truly in love and when their parents are just putting up a show for them. The second lesson is that hating your parents' behavior does not automatically mean that you would avoid repeating it. I'm always talking about patterns on this. See, patterns are like sea waves. If you are going with the sea tides, that's how patterns are. It is easier to go. If you want to go this way, it is more difficult because you are swimming against the tides. But the more certain, more natural flow is to go with the pattern, to go with the sea tides. And that's what happens with many of us. Many of we women watching me grew up hating that our mothers had to yell about everything. And you were so upset, like, why can't my mother just tell me, sweetheart, go and wash that plate? Why did she have to shout? We didn't like it when our mothers shouted. But most of those girls that grew up hating shouting mothers have become shouting mothers too. Patterns. You can hate something and still become it. So breaking a cycle requires self-awareness. It requires healing. It requires so much effort. It requires fighting against the tide. It requires deliberate choices, not just not liking it. Mensy also taught us and teaches us not to shame boys for being emotional, for being kind. And our society does that a lot. When a guy is very emotional and kind, even we women, we are the ones that won't shame them the most. So Mensy's love, his gentleness, and his willingness to care for others were never his problem. The problem was the environment that convinced them that those qualities made him weak. Finally, we must be careful about what we demonstrate. Children may ignore our advice, but they would always study our behavior and remodel it. Jonasi may not have intentionally trained Mensy to become like him, but every lie, every betrayal, every act of domination became a lesson for Mensy, and he was learning. So we parents have to be very careful with the examples that we teach our children. We are angry with our children. Why are you always shouting at your sibling? Why are you always spanking your sibling? Why are you always going off at your sibling at any little misunderstanding? But that is exactly what you do to the child. You go off at the child at any little error, and you think the child will not replicate it to the next person. The child will. So I really did love Mensy. He was the kind of man that Jonasi could never be. Gentle, loving, protective. His father saw him as inferior, but indeed he was superior in character and in conduct. And that is what made Mensy's story so painful. Jonasi did not only damage his son's relationship with him, he damaged his son's relationship with himself. Ladies and gentlemen, how do you relate to Mensy, and what can you learn from Mensy's role? Let us get your thoughts down in the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe if you're new here. As I said, every video there is always something you're going to learn from. Join our premium channel, also our exclusive channel. We're talking about healing, we're talking about self-reflection, we're talking about patterns and trauma and how to be better. That is all the things we discuss on our premium channel, and there's so much more coming. So join us. You can scan this code to join, or you can join here on YouTube by clicking join just beside the subscribe button down there. So let us go to Sarah Gomorrah. I picked out Sarah's character for a reason, because there is something I want us to learn. There were a lot of things I want us to learn from Sarah Gomorrah. So who is Sarah Gomorrah? I describe her as the daughter kept in the shadows. Jonasi's hidden daughter is Sarah Gomorrah, played by South African actress Lwazi Sebesha. Did I bother the name? Let me know down in the comment section. So she's the daughter that Jonasi had with SC. Remember SC? I spoke about SC in the first video. The woman he had secretly married and kept away from public eye and from his family. Sarah was not interested in fighting or competing for Jonasi's money. What she truly wanted is simple: to be accepted, recognized, and loved by her father, Shikina. Unfortunately, Jonasi's obsession with protecting his perfect public image forced that poor girl to grow up as a secret. Her arrival in the movie is very significant because it proves that Matiba, that side chick, was not the beginning of Jonasi's cheating or betrayal. His double life had been going on for many years, and they were already innocent children carrying the consequences. Sarah represents children born into complicated or secret relationships who are made to feel less important because of the choices that they did not make. Her story reminds us that adults may hide affairs and marriages and children, but the emotional damage does not remain hidden. Jonasi felt like he had done enough for her. He had given her a roof over her head and given her a powerful surname, but what she really needed was his presence, was his fatherly love, was his public acceptance. Being hidden by her own father clearly affected Sarah's confidence. She grew up feeling like she was not important enough to be acknowledged, and that insecurity followed her into relationships. Remember, I have always told us that that kind of insecurity follows women into our relationships. She began sleeping with people that she shouldn't be sleeping with. She began messing relationships up along the way. So because her father never gave her the validation that she so craved, Sarah began looking for it in other people, hoping that that attention and affection would make her feel wanted. But the validation never lasted, because the real wound came from being rejected by her own father. I remember how bad I felt when she waited up for him in tears at that restaurant and he didn't show up. How he screamed at her to be content with the crumbs that he could offer. She was a very wounded child. Just as I emphasize on my channel, Sarah's story shows how a parent's emotional absence can affect a child's self-worth. She was not just being reckless doing all those things. She was a young woman desperately trying to fill the emptiness, the vacuum that her father created. What are your thoughts? And what did you learn from Sarah's role and Sarah's character? Let us share down in the comment section. If you're a woman like Sarah, let us share your experiences down below. Finally, let us talk about Lindani, whom we can call Jonas's karma in human form. You know, as I always say, every mulwe, no matter how rugged the mulwe is, in getting bus stop, in get in final destination. Lindani was Jonas's final destination. Lindani was played by Luyanda Zwane. She was young, beautiful, and she executed that role to perfection. Lindani became Jonas's final young lover. She was also his daughter's friend, as I mentioned, and she was also the young woman that his son Mensy genuinely loved. Yet Jonasi went after her, using his money, his power, his luxury holidays to impress her. Lindani became his karma. Jonasi traded the wife who had built a life with him for the excitement of a much younger woman. He believes that his wealth, his influence had bought him love. But once he became sick, weak, and unable to offer the same security, the same paparazzi that he was offering Lindani, Lindani had very little commitment to him. Of course, I don't understand how some people think. Oh, so in your hearts of hearts, you honestly think, as an older man, a married man, that younger women would love you or love you for who you are? Hey God, hey, the Lulu is the so Lulu. Lindani's attraction, just as baddies like herself, was only for what Jonasi could provide: the money, the exposure, the power, the security. Once those things disappeared, so did the loyalty that he thought that he had purchased. She showed him premium shige with a sprinkle of banza. She was living under his roof and making out loudly with other men, while Jonasi was enjoying the ringtone and gnashing his teeth, crying, hearing his babe and another man doing the do right above him in the same roof. He couldn't do anything. He was sick. Seeing the same man who had humiliated his wife for years and broken his son's heart, shattered his daughter's emotions, now being disrespected inside his own home. I won't lie to you, it was so satisfying, for a lot of people, even me, let me confess, it was satisfying. Yes. Lindani even eventually slept with Mensy, Jonas's own son. Imagine how some men compromise on a woman made for keeps over a woman made for the streets. Last, your eye goes sharpen. Don't worry. The painful irony is that when Jonas's health and power failed him, Lindani wheeled him and dumped him back for his family. It was his wife, Joyce, the woman that he had repeatedly betrayed. That was the woman he eventually needed. Listen, it's not a movie. Movies are a reflection of what happens in our society. In Nigeria, it's a very common practice. Many men will go around gallivanting, betraying their wives, hurting their wives, abandoning their children, living on the highway. Then later, when they are on pension age, money is finishing, John Bosco is not working like before, or they are sick, they will carry Ozu Omoha and come and dump themselves for their wives to nurse. I don't blame them. It's the women that are taking them back in the nursing states that I blame. After the woman stayed alone and raised the whole children, suffered waiting no good, and the man was enjoying himself, the woman will still take him to now nurse. Imagine, That's eating cake and having it. Even nature does not work that way. Life does not work that way. Anyways, in this movie, Joy's presence was complicated. At this later part, when he was dumped by his young lover, her presence was complicated. It was complicated by years of pain, anger, and revenge. So this was not just a simple story of a faithful wife lovingly returning to pack shit for a man that abandoned her. No, she was done. He was in the house, but she was mentally, physically, emotionally done. Lindani's story teaches us that attention bought with money is not the same as genuine love. Listen, Jonasi kept trading Joy's loyalty for fickle excitement, and in the end, he discovered that people who come for the lifestyle will leave when the lifestyle disappears, and that is exactly how life is. Let us drop our thoughts on every character that we have covered in today's video. Which of these characters did you love the most? Which of them did you relate the most to? Which of them did you hate the most? Which of them did you feel most sorry for? Let us share our thoughts down in the comment section. I know I haven't analyzed the man of the moment, Jonasi himself. I may not, if you want me to analyze Jonasi, because Jonasi is a full textbook case. It's not who we just discuss in passing. It's something I would like to break down slice by slice with so many lessons and so many parts to say. Jonasi is a man that so many women have experienced and are experiencing. Many women are experiencing Jonasis in their lives. So if you want me to analyze Jonasi, let me know down in the comment section. But for now, let us share our thoughts down in the comment section. What lessons have you learned and what have you taken so far from our analysis? Let us get them all down below. So guys, yes, we have come to the end of today's video. If you are new here, you are seeing my face for the first time, or if you've been watching us without subscribing, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, give this video a big thumbs up, drop your thoughts down in the comment section, grab a copy of our book, The Unbroken Spirit. You see, just like Joyce, your body can be broken, but you cannot afford to let your spirit be broken. Joyce and every woman like her need to read this book. There is so much you're going to get from it. So scan this code to grab a copy on Amazon, or click on the link pinned in the description box and in the comment section, or you can just send us interested to info@nezemasterclass.com. Thank you so much guys for watching. I'll see you guys in our next one. For now, bye.